I still remember what it felt like to be that 20-year-old version of me that absolutely hated herself. The hopelessness that I felt in who I was because I pretended to be somebody that I wasn't. I would purposefully let people have power over me because if I was submissive and if I let people use me and walk all over me and use me as a punching bag, then it meant that I wasn't alone. If I had bad friends around me that used me, as a shoulder to cry on and as an ear to be lent, then it meant that I wasn't alone. If I was making myself indispensable, but I made myself indispensable at the cost of my identity and who I was fundamentally, I let people take and take and take, and I never expected anything back. I never wanted anything back. I never asked for anything back. And I got myself into really dangerous situations, in dangerous relationships, dangerous addictions. And I feel like when you've been so close to being yourself and standing in any form of power and then losing that can be the most frustrating thing. It's like you're clawing around in the dark. You have no idea where you are and you're just trying to find your way through, but you're completely lost and nobody is holding a torch because nobody else probably knows anyway where they are. I was just sad and I just hated myself and I just felt so powerless. I felt so powerless to the people around me. I felt so powerless to my own ability to make something of my life, to follow my dreams, to do anything that I really wanted to do on a soul level, on a fundamental level. Because when you give your power away to so many people and you give them the say-so on who you are and what your limits are and what you could be, you just stray so far away from yourself and it becomes so comfortable and you just want to stay there because staying there means that you're not alone, and being around people that are bad for you is better than being alone, because if you're alone then you have to face everything and you have to face yourself. And I think I was really afraid of that because if I had been alone, if I had not had anyone around me to validate me in any way, shape or form, even if they abused that power, I don't think that I would have survived. And I was living in that survival mentality. And I was so worried about everybody else, making sure that everybody else was okay. Not wanting anyone to look at what I've got going on because I'm fine, even though I'm not. But just don't look. Just don't look at that part of me because I can't do anything about it. I'm powerless to it. But I wasn't powerless. And neither are you. I just wasn't living. It was like I was alive, but I was dead. I didn't exist and I didn't want to exist. And I can't tell you how terrifying it was to be at that place, not knowing what my life was going to turn out to be. And I don't think that anybody around me at that point could see or comprehend what I knew was inside of me, that there was this fire that had been burning in me this whole time, throughout all of my teenage years, since I was 14, since I was that 14-year-old girl that grew this dream. And that fire never got stamped out, even when I was at my lowest point. But I did give up. I did give up. I gave up on all of my dreams. I gave up on living. I gave up on everything. I just accepted my fate, and I was just like, it's not gonna happen. And when you are in that situation where you've been completely stripped of everything, you've been stripped of your passion, you've been stripped of your drive, your belief in yourself, you are just shrouded in hatred directed towards yourself and self-limiting beliefs, taking on every single negative thing that you've ever taken on from anybody that you've ever given your power away to and allowed them to tell you these things, and because you love them, you listen to them, because you adore them, you listen to them, because you admire them, because they're your friend, you listen to them and you trust them, and then you just end up with nothing. You end up with all of these limits that you've placed on yourself because of what other people have said to you, because of what society has made you think about yourself, what you feel like you should think about yourself, because hating yourself is normal, and it's normal to, think that you're a terrible person, think that you're cringe, think that you're ugly, think that you're everything that is not deserving of anything that you desire, because why would it be you? I didn't have anything. I didn't have anyone that taught me how to love myself. I didn't have anyone that pushed me, that believed in me. And even when I did have help, I didn't take it. I didn't accept it, because accepting help meant that there was something wrong. And if there's something wrong, then that means that I have to look at it. And the last thing that I wanted to do was look at myself and really see all of the damage that had been done throughout my life and all of the things that needed to change. And I didn't believe that things could change. I didn't think that I could change. But that 14-year-old girl, she was there, and she wanted this life that I have now so bad. And when it came to that point, nothing to show for my music career, nothing, no projects that I had released, no drive, no creativity, no exploration, no nothing, no learning. I had nothing to lose, so I chose to fall apart. I chose to let everything go. All of these things that I thought that I wanted, these versions of myself that I tried to be, I let it go, and I let myself fall, and I fell into pieces. I knew that I was going to be okay. And I knew that because when I was 14, I connected to spirituality for the first time in my life. And it felt so right. It felt so authentic to me. But when I shared that with my friends at the time, they didn't want to understand. Nobody ever really wanted to give that the time of day. And it was kind of bullied out of me. I allowed that to happen because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to stand alone. I wasn't ready to stand on my 2 feet and say, this is who I am, and I don't care what you think about that. I was not ready. Not as a 14-year-old girl, although I did have that part of me that was like, I don't care what anyone thinks, but I mean, it's so complicated when your options for support and friends is very limited, and I valued not being alone more, so I just shoved it down. When I allowed myself to fall apart, I knew that I was safe because I could finally reconnect with my spirituality, and I could finally be that part of me again. So I made a commitment to heal myself and to go through my whole life and write everything down, every trauma, every hurt, every heartbreak. I wrote everything down. I wrote my whole life in a journal. And because I was the kind of person that would put everybody else before me, because I didn't want to look at myself and I didn't want other people to look at me, and I didn't want to accept help or any sort of criticism about my avoidance of myself, I was very shocked to find how much my life had affected me, the friendships that had affected me, the relationships, the family as well. That was a really great place to start because it allowed me to grieve. It allowed me to grieve the love and the support that I never received, and kind of just reintroducing myself to myself, but being able to reconnect with my spirituality in that way of like, I have nothing else. I have no hope that things will get better. I have no clear indication that my life is going to pan out the way that I have always wanted it to. Spirituality has been there for me before, it can be there for me again. And through that, I learned how to heal myself and rewire my brain and begin this process of undoing the self-hatred and the self-limiting beliefs and figuring out where my negative self-talk came from, the people that it came from, the situations that it came from. And it allowed me to regain my power and my autonomy over my life and who I chose to be and what I chose to do. Because I had given myself the opportunity to be reborn into my most authentic self. I wanted to be able to be in a place mentally where I could express what I wanted to express creatively, where I could use it as a form of self-expression and reconnect to that creativity that was always inherently inside of me, inherently in all of us. I wanted this, and I wanted to do anything that I could to make it the most fulfilling process, to make it so that it wasn't about being famous or, having a luxurious life or whatever. I wanted to do it in a way where I was doing it because I loved it. And I just started and I never stopped because I had nothing to lose, because I allowed myself to fall apart. I allowed myself to be completely imperfect. I allowed myself to be broken, to be hurt. I allowed myself to be everything that I needed to be, everything that I was. And it was ugly. It was ugly at first. I had all of these feelings that I didn't understand, that I wanted to hide, like my jealousy and my envy. I wanted to hide that. I didn't want it to exist because it meant that I was a bad person. But it was only because I had gotten to that point where I wanted to do bad things and I wanted to hurt. But it didn't make me a bad person. It just meant that I didn't know how to deal with it and how to transmute it, which I learned how to do. And now when I feel jealousy, I know it's because I want something. And it's not about copying somebody. It's about finding it for me, that's authentic to me, that looks like me. But if I saw somebody that was making music and I felt jealous, it was because I wanted to make music. And it was things like that, rewiring my brain and sort of figuring out how these pitfalls and how these aspects of myself that seemed so negative could actually be used to my benefit. And that was a process because there was so much shame and so much guilt attached to those sorts of feelings. But the integration of them has propelled me towards what I desire. Through the process of healing myself, I learned how to give myself grace, and I learned how to give myself compassion, and give myself compassion the way that I would give others compassion, the way that I would be so understanding and give advice to people, that I would be so open and share my ideas and share everything, every part of me with other people. And I started doing that for me. And I started to glow from the inside out. And I felt amazing because inherently I'm an incredibly nurturing person. I would always be called the mother of the group because I would be the support, I would be the advice giver, and I would give damn good advice, and I do still to this day. And when I started giving that to myself, everything changed. My whole life, my whole circumstance, my living situation, the kind of relationships that I was attracting into my life completely shifted. And because I was giving myself this compassion and giving myself what I would so freely give other people, I felt safe to be myself. And I knew that anything that was me, that was authentic to me, if it was accepted and brought into myself with open arms and compassion, that I was safe. And I kept doing that, and I am still doing that, and it has changed my life so much. And for the last 3 years I've been doing that alongside following my dreams. And my life is completely different now. Completely. I have a healthy relationship. I have healthy female friendships. I live in a beautiful home. I work in the music industry. I'm a musician. I make solo music. I'm in a band, and I love my band, and I love my bandmates, and my bandmates love me and they respect me. It's all I ever wanted. I never knew how to get it before, or how to access what I wanted. And I hated myself so much that I felt I didn't deserve it. I changed and I became the person that would just go and get it themselves. Instead of expect it, instead of want it and not do anything to get it, I went out and I got it. And I attribute it all to allowing myself to fall apart completely and utterly into pieces. I've ran into people that, I can see that they're struggling with that they don't want to fall apart. They want to bypass the falling apart so that they can, have the happiness and experience the joy. It's painful to hold on. It's painful to hold on to this idea that you should be somebody else. It hurts so bad. And I know that because I lived it. And man, it was awful. I tried so hard to hold on. But all it did was just run me into the ground. And when I went to the depths of that, was when I could see the light. And I let it guide me, and I let it guide me damn blindly. But it was the best decision that I ever made in my whole life, and I just would not be here today if I didn't. And that is my advice to you, is to just let yourself fall apart and just let go, and just go into this void. Because the void will teach you everything that you need to know. You are your greatest teacher. And when you can allow yourself to sink completely into that void, you will truly find what you're looking for. I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself. I really hope that this video helped, and I'll see you in the next one.